You are about to enter a great adventure.
This is Starting from Gorilla.
Guys, we are back. Like the title of this episode, the boys are back. It's been, about a month, Vito, since you and I got to sit here and talk about wrestling?
I don't even remember what you looked like, Cash. I have no idea. It's good to see you.
Who are you? Can you, I have two-factor authentication. Can I send you a text with a code to prove that you're really who you are? Dude, it's good to be back. It's good to be back with all of you. We're here. I'm Mikey Cash. That's Big Vito. The SFG crew is back. We're happy to be with you guys. Summer gets busy. We know we've talked with you guys about this before, so we had a little bit of a layoff, but we're here now, and we have a lot to cover because in this last month, it feels like a lot has happened in the world of pro wrestling, and we're just here to just share our thoughts about it and just kind of go over it together. Vito and I, as close as we live to each other, real life gets busy, so we haven't actually been able to even talk about half of this stuff. So we're going to be talking about it live in living color here with you guys. So, Vito, let's dive in here because you have a really cool story because you got to see Mick Foley recently.
Yeah, our friend of the podcast here / pseudo member, Mike Sarge Riley, told us about a show in our area at Kowloon. And Mick Foley was there. Big shout out to Kowloon. I know they're like the hot spot for wrestling, and all the wrestlers when they come into Boston, they're all big fans of it. And it was a really great show. I know I've heard great things about his show before, but it was fantastic. You can see I got my my Dude Love autographed magazine here, which was pretty sweet. But he told some great stories, talked a lot about the Hell in the Cell, which I think you've heard those stories before. But he just does such a great job. He's such a great, public speaker, and he's so relatable when he talks. It's not like he's talking like a wrestler that isn't relatable to the crowd, right? He is so relatable to all of the fans, and I think everyone resonates with that. And he brought up a good point, and he's talked about Mr. McMahon, which he threw in some pretty good one-liners about him every now and then. But he was like, when I came in as Mankind, he's like, I had this brown suit, the world's worst entrance music, and a mask. And he's like, somehow I still got over. And I got over big for a while. And he's like, if that's not impressive, I don't know what is. But
So true.
But he put on a great show. One of the, I'm not going to get into everything real quickly, though. One thing that was pretty cool is John Cena's dad was there. It was his birthday, and he sang a surprise birthday song that Andy Wong and Mick put together. And it was pretty funny. He did a good job. He sang it as Dude Love and then Mankind. So if you haven't seen it, it's on our TikTok. He did give us permission to post it. So take a look at it. It's pretty funny. Grandy was there. Jack Grandy was there from the Celtics. He's the announcer. Or Sean Grandy. Sorry, I called him Jack. Sean Grandy was there from the Celtics. He's the announcer on the radio. And he was able to talk about the Celtics win, hot off the presses, which was pretty cool. And The Rock's brother-in-law was sitting right next to me and the Leader of Men. Shout out to the Leader of Men back on the scene here. He was there with me. I didn't get a chance to post the photo of me and him with Mick, but we'll put it on the socials. But overall, it was a great show. And they went in a bunch of different directions, and they talked about the last thing I'll say, because I know I ramble. I know I do, Mike. But the last thing I'll say that was really cool is he talked about his win in Worcester when he won the WWE title. And apparently it was like a blizzard, and they all drove and I guess Sean Grandy's is a big friend of Mick Foley and Andy Wong, and they went an hour plus from Worcester area to Kowloon when he won the belt, and that's what they did after, and that's where he celebrated. So he likes to think that he brought wrestling back to the Kowloon, because it was after that all the wrestlers started going there. But great time, great event. It was hot as balls, but a great time.
Bunch of big sweaty men. There it is.
Pretty much.
That's pretty wrestling for you right there.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing about Mankind's fans is they kind of all look like him. So you can imagine what the crowd looked like. So it was good though. Lots of fans, lots of questions, lots of fun.
Well, hey, I mean, SFG is rubbing shoulders kind of with The Rock. So, through his in-laws, that's the closest we've gotten. So it's a big move for SFG. We're really moving up in the world. But that's great, Vito. I'm glad you had a good time. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. But Mikey Cash was working. Okay, I'm a very important guy. All right, got things to do. But
I get it.
All right, but let's dive right in. A lot has happened. I feel like we got to just start off with probably one of the biggest stories in wrestling so far, the Wyatt Sicks. I mean, I got to watch. I was a little delayed on this, but I got to watch the debut of the whole family, and I was really blown away by how they presented them. I thought it was really one of the better debuts that they've had in the Triple H era here. The way they did it, I thought, made them look like a threat immediately, and also kind of unpredictable, because you saw backstage, it was both heels and faces. Everybody was sort of kind of destroyed by the Wyatts backstage, and now you don't know, like, where are they going? Well, what's going to happen next here? Who's going to be the first real target? Because right now it seemed like everybody got beat up to sort of send a message. But what do you think, Vito? Because I'm in a good way just eager to see where everything goes.
I mean, Mikey, I am the biggest sucker for debuts like this, so no, I'm going to be excited. I will say I was getting a little tired of the messages. Like, I think that dragged on a little bit too long, because once you do that, you're expecting something really big. And I agree with you. I think the debut was great. It looked like a horror movie, right? Like, it was really great. And I'm curious to see where it goes. I think probably 6 months ago, I saw a fan-made TikTok about this possibly happening, and I sent it to you. And I said, if this happened, this would be unbelievable, right? And it basically was exactly what happened. And so I was excited about it anyways. I loved The Fiend and Bray Wyatt when he was doing his thing. It was a little weird. There was never like a cohesive story with it. It just kind of always just branched off and went in weird directions. But I'm hoping this will be a little bit more cohesive. Right. And I thought the debut was great. It looked like Chad Gable had been shot in the head, which is like not hilarious, but very interesting.
Right. It's really funny. It looked like he was shot.
Yeah. It looked like he was dead. It looked like multiple people were dead.
It was interesting.
But it was a good debut. And did you see the clips about the Pat McAfee show?
I did. I saw it yesterday when Pat was on there. He's like, everyone, it really escalated quickly. First, it looks like, oh, Chad Gable's just kind of knocked out. He's got a little bit of blood on his head. To, oh, Gable is dead. He's shot. And Triple H is like, he's fine. He'll be here. He'll be at Raw tonight. He'll be okay. He's all right. But
did you see how on multiple, there were probably two different shows?
Yeah.
And
that's some cool. I mean, synergy is kind of the word here, right? Yeah, that was pretty badass.
It's interesting because it's an ESPN produced show, and it's nothing to do with that show. And like, you can even see the rest of the cast was getting into it. Like, Pat was like, "What are you doing back there?" to one of the producers or one of the castmates, and like, I didn't do anything. He's like, oh, sure you didn't. Like, you could tell it was like a little bit of acting there, but still cool. I love when they do that. So I think there's something going to be happening with the Pat McAfee and the Wyatt Sicks. But I'm curious to see like how they play it out. Like, I wonder if this is going to be kind of like a version. You always like to talk about wrestling repeating itself, right? I'm wondering if they kind of have more of like an NWO style, corporate ministry style, where they bring more people into it, like maybe Pat McAfee, maybe it becomes kind of like a whole different thing, because they talk about like almost like a revolution, rebelling against things. So, that's kind of the way I see it going. I don't know if it, again, I'm comparing it to the NWO. I don't mean that it's going to be as big as that. I'm just saying the same type of storyline where people start joining and all this. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think it'll be more cohesive though. Where do you think it's going to go?
So I don't know if I necessarily think it's going to be like that, where they're going to be bringing in other members. They'll be selective if they even do that. But I don't know if you caught Raw last night, but this morning, a friend of mine, shout out to Marcello, friend of the podcast, he sent me a link to one of the segments on Raw last night, which was this like VHS tape that I guess was supposed to go to McAfee, but he wasn't at Raw, so it was just Michael Cole. But they played this tape, and it was Uncle Howdy talking to Bo Dallas, and I thought it was. That kind of reminded me, speaking of Foley, that kind of reminded me of a Foley thing, when he had all three of them sort of talking to each other. Yeah. But this was such an interesting segment to me, because we already have some motivation for why he's doing what he's doing. He explains it all in the video. And I know we're recording this on Tuesday morning. So anybody who hasn't seen it yet, just go up. It's on WWE's YouTube. Go check it out. It's great. And in this video, he talks about his brother dying. He talks about Bray Wyatt's passing. And he also talks about how it meant so much for him to be in the company and to have these plans to tag team with him and for them to be together. And that after he died, he feels like people sort of forgot about him. And then he says them, he forgot about us. And so you're looking at Eric Rowan, Joe Gacy, Dexter Lumis, Nikki Cross, and it's really interesting to me because, those characters did sort of fall off, right? They all of them at one point had like little moments where they were sort of moving in I guess, a direction of being more popular and kind of being in the upper echelon. And then, things just sort of fell off for them. So I think it's really interesting that all those guys are part of this new crew. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what the hell they do. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm certainly excited for it. So I thought it was a hell of a debut.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm excited too. It gives you something to look forward to, and not that the wrestling and everything going on wasn't entertaining at the moment, but it's a good storyline. It's awesome. I'm excited about it. So,
you know what? I first let's move on for a second, because we could spend all day talking about this, but we missed a lot. We missed Queen and King of the Ring. So we don't need to talk about this whole show, just the two people who won, right? So we're talking about Nia Jax and Gunther. What do you think? I think it's good for Nia Jax. She's been doing much better in her second go around with the company. Gunther, I think this was just kind of a matter of when, not if, he was going to get this kind of push. And so this is just moving along in that way. And the fact that they're kind of going back to something they used to do with King of the Ring was when you won the tournament, you got a title shot at SummerSlam. So I really, really like that kind of old school move that Triple H pulled. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I didn't love the women's winner. I don't know. I'm just not a Nia Jax fan. I'm trying. I know. I know you are. And I'll give her a shot, but I'm wondering if Tiffany Stratton was supposed to win, and because of some controversy, they she didn't. I don't know. I think Stratton would have been the choice if you want my opinion. But again, you haven't really heard much about her lately either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
she's gone into the background for sure.
I think it's a lot to do with kind of the situation outside. And, she posted a TikTok that, it's controversial to say the least. So I'm guessing maybe that's it. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. But, it is what it is. We'll see how it goes. And then Gunther, I think that was what we expected it would be. Right.
Yeah.
And we want to do that. On a side note, though, and I can never remember his name. What is the guy that was in Imperium? The other guy, is it Ludwig Kaiser?
Yeah,
he has been looking really good. Like, I have enjoyed watching him. Not only his in the ring stuff, but his promos have been fantastic.
Yeah, and he's been so good.
Yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised with him, and I'm excited to see how he moves forward too.
Yeah.
So
he had a good match on Raw last night with Breaker. So speaking of guys breaking out,
it's great. You're seeing some new talent come up.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's great. The other part about actually no, because this was I was skipping to.
Well, let's get right into it then. That's all we needed to talk about. Let's get to Clash at the Castle.
Yeah, Clash at the Castle. Before I go, because I already gave my thoughts on the other pay-per-view. What were your thoughts on Clash at the Castle?
I thought it was a fun show. I wouldn't say it's like the best show they ever put on, but not every show is going to be. So I don't have that expectation when I go in. I'm just sort of I approach it from the standpoint of there's a couple of matches that I think are really important and that they're kind of basing the show around. The other ones are still quality matches, but unlike what they used to do and what other companies do, they're not overloading the card here. I mean, it was 5 matches. It's every one of them gets time. Every one of them has a video package. Every one of them has a sense of importance. Now, for me, I think the biggest ones were it was Cody and AJ that opened the show, and then you had the main event with Drew McIntyre and I almost said NCM Punk because he felt like he was, even though he didn't show up until the very end of the show. But I thought overall it was a good show, great crowd as usual. The international crowds continue to kill it for these shows and really put U.S. audiences to shame. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Step it up, boys.
I'm sure they will. Get the beach balls out. So I really did enjoy the show. I thought AJ and Cody really delivered. I felt like, this helps continue establish Cody as champion. He's fighting some very credible opponents. AJ Styles has been doing really good work lately. He pulled his best Mark Henry impersonation with the fake retirement ceremony. Like, he even came out with like the pastel suit. I just thought it was perfect. I had heard that he texted Mark Henry after and was like, "How did I do?" Like, just wanted to get a little seal of approval from the guy. But no, I think it's great. I think there's probably some elements of truth to what AJ says, that he's nearing the end of his career. And so him getting to have these kinds of matches with a guy like Cody and help establish him and his title reign, I think is really important. So I enjoyed that. And, Bailey had a really good match too. I think what they did with her and Piper Niven was solid. I thought it was great. Honestly, I thought it was great. I don't know if you saw, but like Bianca and Jade lost the tag team titles, and I feel like this is just going to further this kind of Bianca Belair going a little bit to the dark side here, which I like. I think that could be cool for her character. So they're planting the seeds a little bit.
What's the deal? I mean, Jade had some botches in that match, but there was one thing that I thought was really interesting. I don't know if you saw this, but Shayna Baszler had her in a choke, and she was like tapping.
I know.
But it was after she did something and messed something up, and it looked like it kind of hurt Shayna. And I'm wondering, Shayna's got that type of mentality where it's like, if you're gonna do something stupid, I'm gonna really get you.
So I'm gonna rent you a little receipt.
I'm wondering if that was a little bit of a receipt there, like, hey, Brooke, listen, like, figure it out here. I like Jade Cargill. I think she's got a great look. But she's got to figure it out in the ring a little bit here. Like I know they put her in a tag team with Bianca to kind of, let her adjust. But there was. I will tell you, even at that show, I think it was Damian Priest who had a few botches too. Did you see when he got his ankle?
Yeah, but that's that. So that was going to be my counterpoint to what you just said, because I was like, well, I mean, all of them are doing it here and there.
Oh,
and
100%.
There was also some. I'm going to sound like an apologist here, but there was some clip of when AJ first came out at the beginning of the show where the ref is holding the ropes and he's saying to him they're really loose.
Yeah.
So they weren't as tight, I guess, to do the kind of things that AJ usually does. The very thing that Jade fell down on, like Damian got stuck on. And I was like, what? And so there was something going on, I think, that night overall that wasn't working. But I do agree. Obviously, Jade is still considered green.
I know.
These things happen. I mean, it's wrestling. I think at this point, you still give them the benefit of the doubt to still kind of grow as a performer and get more comfortable. And let's face it, you and I couldn't do shit in that ring. So
I don't know, Mikey. I think you're speaking nonsense. I think we would do pretty well in that ring. Put me through a flaming table. I don't listen. Mick Foley said he only had like 4 moves. I could probably go with 2. You just put me through some tables. We'll get a pop and then we'll call it a night.
I'll just be your mic guy. I'll be the manager for you.
Sure. No, but I think Clash of the Castle was good. It was fine. Like it was what it was, right? And I think the Drew McIntyre CM Punk is. I think you'll agree with me. One of the better storylines going on. Drew's doing some of his best work, and CM Punk is leaning right into it. And you got Wade Barrett kind of jumping in on the storyline, and telling Triple H to fire CM Punk. Like I don't know. It's just good. It's entertaining, and I think we all, I know Sarge has his opinion on CM Punk.
Yeah.
I still am a CM Punk guy. Maybe he's an asshole. I don't care. I still find him entertaining. He makes me turn on the TV.
Yep.
That's
he does.
Just the way it is.
He does.
Yeah.
I mean, I that show was pretty much based around that. I mean, and it did its job. So I was fine with it. It was fine. I liked it. Last Friday on SmackDown, they continued that story. After Drew quits on Raw, CM Punk shows up in Chicago, which, I mean, they just had the draft, and now already they got a Raw guy showing up, 2 Raw guys showing up on SmackDown. So I'm like, you almost have to still chalk it up to like, whose line is that anyway? The rules are made up and the points don't matter. Yeah. So there's always that was the element right there. There was like, we're in Chicago. We're just going to throw this guy out there, So there's always going to be that little bit. Like, don't expect this to be airtight in terms of like logic. Okay. You can't, because it's wrestling. So, but I thought it's been good. And I've enjoyed Punk's work so far. And this is something kind of bigger than, I guess, Clash at the Castle, but kind of a point about how WWE handles injuries now. I don't know if you remember, but in the past, like when a guy was injured, they were just off. They're off TV. You didn't hear about them. You didn't hear anything until they were like about to come back, or it would be a surprise. Now you can actually still incorporate guys who were injured into storylines. I mean, look at what CM Punk has done. The guy has not been able to wrestle since January, and it hasn't felt like he's not here. He's very present, and they've made a really concerted effort, I think, to help keep him involved, even in times where there's physicality, because you didn't see him get beat up. You just kind of found him on the floor. So it was another way to get around, hey, I can't really be doing stuff with a triceps injury, but you can still have it look like I was involved in something and I got beat up. That's cool.
Yeah, I was listening to clips from Kevin Nash's podcast, and he's just not a CM Punk guy. And I think it has a lot to do with what happened when CM Punk was supposed to face him, and I think he's like butthurt about it, but
I'm sure
it doesn't matter. What I find interesting is, and he actually brings up a pretty valid point. Back in the day, I mean, he tore his quad, but he was only out for however many months, and he's like, this guy tore his tricep, and he's been on the shelf he's gonna be on the shelf for like a year. He's like, people had injuries. We used to work through them, and I know the mindset's different nowadays. So you talk about like how people are off TV, now they're back on TV. Well, back in like the late 90s, early 90s, late 90s, they would wrestle through a lot of those injuries, and I'm glad they don't, because it they shouldn't have to, but it's just an interesting logic behind all of it. So
yeah. All right, let's keep moving, dude. Let's keep moving.
I love rapid fire SFG. This is great.
This is good for us. We're usually not very good about keeping.
We should put a buzzer up. Yeah, we should put a buzzer up, like
a countdown, like the Royal Rumble buzzer, like
pardon the interruption.
All right. Tell us in the comments below. Do you want to see us start doing that?
Yeah.
All right.
I'd be
next
screwed.
Up, the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour is in full fucking swing, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like it. I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first, but we're talking from the night after WrestleMania onward, this tour has begun. And it has been just like, I mean, speaking of rapid fire, it's like every week she's doing something. And I think overall, this is a little preview of probably what you're going to start getting when they move to Netflix and they're uncensored completely and can sort of say and do certain things in terms of their storytelling that aren't really allowed on cable television. Not saying this is going to turn into some sort of like adult film thing, but I think there's clearly mature themes here with like what they're trying to tell with this story of her trying to like steal everything from Rhea, including her boyfriend. And it's been kind of wild to watch, but it's also like funny. Like there's an element of comedy to it because like you can like the way Dominic plays it off, like his acting has been like really great during this whole thing where he's just like, she's, trying to walk up to him and like put her like hand on his chest. And he's just like, looking away, like I know my girlfriend's watching, I can't do anything. And like even little pieces of it where like I think the last night, like apparently he got a text from her and it had like a picture or something. It's like we don't know what was on this, but he showed it to the Judgment Day, and like just Carlito's comments are so great because he's just like, that's cool. And it was I loved it. I thought it was funny. And like, I feel like even though this is obviously be kind of a more like mature kind of story here with like what the elements that they're dealing with, they're still handling it well. Like this isn't like bra and panties matches and swimsuit competitions in the Attitude Era where it's just like you're putting shit out there just for the sake of putting it out there to get like a pop. Like this, they're still like telling a story, but it's the way they're telling the story that's different than everything else that's on the show right now, which I think is kind of the point. It's variety in the kind of the truest form. Like you're getting a lot of different stories being told at the same time.
This has got a lot of Paul Heyman written all over it. I wonder how much influence he has in it. It's like a tamed down Paul Heyman, but no, I agree with you. I think it's been really good and entertaining. And honestly, I thought the Judgment Day was getting pretty stale.
They were.
And so this has kind of been good. I've noticed Finn has taken a little bit of a back seat to Damian Priest and even Dom. Like I think I would argue Dom is whether you hate him or love him, I would argue he's the most prominent member. Even with Damian being the champion, I just think Dom has got the most interesting storyline going. And whether it's the rub from Rhea or not, who knows? But I love the way that they've done this storyline with Liv, where Rhea got hurt and she was hot, man. She was real hot.
Yeah.
And they blamed it on Liv. So she's getting a lot of heat and she's just embracing that. Right. And going after it. And it's been great to watch. I've always liked Liv Morgan. She's her trajectory reminds me a lot of like a Trish Stratus when she first came in to some degree. I know it was slightly different, but you could tell she worked really hard to get where she's been. And
absolutely.
You can tell. And I think it's good.
And I think that's why, I wanted to say what I was saying before, because they're not trying to like, I think, degrade her in any way by putting her in a storyline like this. You can tell that they're trying to really be careful with her character. That's kind of what they're doing here. That's what I'm saying. It's not like they're just haphazardly putting her in this situation where she's like making out with a guy backstage. Like that's what they used to do. That's not, that doesn't seem to be what they're doing here. She's like actively trying to like get things from Rhea. It's still in her mind all about Rhea, what she's doing. And you can see the motivations there. So I think they're telling it really well. But
it's kind of similar to like the Drew McIntyre CM Punk situation to some degree. You can kind of see it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
All right,
All right.
rapid fire.
Let's keep going. Want to talk a minute or two about NXT and A? I mean,
say his
did you ever
name and
think-
he'll be there. Say his name and he'll appear.
I couldn't believe it, dude. I had missed the Jordan Grace debut on NXT when it was like this whole surprise of who was Roxanne Perez going to fight at Battleground. But man, they have NXT and TNA together is a match you didn't think was going to be made and one that you didn't think would work, but it's working. It's kind of a perfect fit.
Yep. I don't know where they're going with it. I don't know how it benefits WWE. Honestly, the only thing I can think of is TNA. I mean, NXT. It adds a little bit more excitement to it. Not that it wasn't before. It's a different excitement, right? It's like AAA in baseball. Like you go and you hope to see some stars of the future, and there's some good stars already there, but I don't know how this benefits WWE as much as it benefits TNA and some of the wrestlers there.
I think it can benefit both in a way because for NXT, you have people that now that are obviously green. They're kind of going through the performance center, and now they have the opportunity to work with people who are more veterans in the business. And so I think that's great. And for the TNA talent, they also get exposure on a more national scale than they're getting right now. Yeah, they're on Access TV and they have the TNA Plus app, but I think this can work well for both of them as long as they play it right. And it seems like so far they're playing it right. And it was kind of a cool little multiverse for a second because at Battleground, I don't know if you saw this, but Dana Brooke came out and interfered in the women's championship match. And so like you could hear Vic Joseph being like, isn't that Dana Ash by Elegance? Like he just so it's really cool. NXT is doing some good things. I don't know if you saw Ethan Page from AEW is in there too.
Yep, and saw that. Yep.
NXT is doing some good things. They've really bounced back from like the 2.0 fiasco.
Yeah, I mean, it took some time. I give Shawn Michaels credit. I think he's done a pretty damn good job over there. So.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep. Look, honestly, guys, this is the best we've ever done at sticking to.
Yeah, I say let's go right into to AEW. Yeah,
let's do it. Yeah, we've been WWE heavy. You're right.
Let's go into it.
Okay. So I guess the biggest news that was out of AEW the last month or so is our boy MJF. He is back, and I mean he looked great. I mean he came out. He had the whole Triple H getup when he first came back. It was very reminiscent of that 2002 Triple H return. And he said he meant that, and I thought that was cool. Well, what have you thought of his return so far?
That's been good.
There you go. That's telling you everything you need to know about AEW recently.
That's kind of how I feel, though. Like, again, he comes out, he gives this whole thing. He had that whole thing with Adam Cole.
Yep.
And now it's something different. Like, it's just like, okay, so we're just going to ignore everything that happened with Adam Cole and it's going to be on the back burner. Are we kind of, it's like, focus on it. Like, build it. You had something there. They don't have a lot going on right now. And I don't know. I'm excited he's back. I enjoy MJF. Yeah. I think a lot of people do too. I was subliminally hoping he would come to WWE. I don't know how that would have worked. I don't know. He probably would have got lost in the shuffle, but I don't know. Literally it's a head scratcher. I'm happy he's back, but you'd think he'd be going after the title because he lost the title. And he's not. Then you got Forbidden Door going on at the same time where again, don't know the backstory on a lot of the people there.
Yeah. Well, we can get to that in a second, but thoughts on MJF coming back? I think it's great. I think it's good. They desperately needed him because he is their biggest star. I don't really care what anybody else says. He's the biggest guy they got. He is why people are showing up there. They're buying the merch. They're buying the shirts, like everything. And about him and Adam Cole, I honestly, they tried to have whatever payoff they could. In my eyes, I kind of forgive that a little bit because Cole's still injured. So I have no expectation that he's just going to be able to bounce back into the ring and be like, oh, okay, let's go. They did what they could with that, given the limitations. But, yeah, I think in a way there's an admission there by AEW that like, yeah, the Undisputed Kingdom just has not worked. It hasn't worked. In fact, you could argue that it's worked in one way, and that is it's gotten Roderick Strong more of a character again, and gotten him in a more prominent position. But even that doesn't seem like it's lasted, and that's kind of my bigger take with them. But we can save that for another episode. But there's some places to go for MJF. I wonder, if Forbidden Door just kind of created this obstacle for getting him immediately back into the title picture. And if he does get into it, who is he going to be facing? Is it going to be Swerve? Is it going to be Christian Cage? Like, who's going to be champion by the time he's sort of ready to get back in there? Because right now they kind of have him just like, no. I mean, it happens with everybody, right? You fight some layups so that you can kind of get yourself reestablished. And I don't know. Like I said, I was happy that he's back, but I'm also having some trouble with like getting invested again because I'm like, well, where is it going? What's happening? Because it's just like
100%. That's how I feel.
Back, it's a promo, it's a match, but who's the match with? And do I care about who this match is with? Like Roosh, like I like him. Don't get me wrong, but you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Okay, well. Give me something else. Give me something else. Give me some. I think
your horns suck.
I'm not saying he sucks. I think he's really good. I'm just like,
no, he is. I agree.
Struggling. This is where I struggle because, like, I think now in my eyes, the way I watch it, I'm like, I need some fucking story here. I need it personally. When I'm like, you got to give me something. So
look,
and anyway, this
look. I know, AEW has had they always just bring WWE people in, and it's been a whole thing, and it hasn't really worked all that well, and it's kind of been overused. But I'm telling you right now, if Shane McMahon went to AEW, it would be that is like
wild.
Not, and I don't even know where that storyline would go, right? But like just the fact that he would be on AEW, it'd be like him on WCW. But before they were bought, right? Like it's just it would be, you want to get eyeballs, that would bring it, but you got to have a plan of what you're going to do.
And there lies the rub. Where's the plan? Where's the plan here?
But it would bring some sort of attention.
Yeah.
Like
you're right. It would. But anyway, let's talk a minute about like this build for Forbidden Door. There's some, I don't know. There hasn't been much. In my eyes.
What build, Mike?
I think I think there's obviously the injuries and the fact that AEW has already signed a lot of this top Japanese talent that kind of hurts this show in a way. Like, I don't think they meant to, but I think an unintended consequence of that is now, well, who's left in New Japan for anybody to care about? So they've even had to open it up to CMLL. And this is where, for me, and you know how much I love women's wrestling, I think the women's division in AEW has, in a weird way, been one of the strongest parts of AEW recently. When you look at Mercedes Moné, Stephanie Vaquer, they have that match coming up at Forbidden Door. Mercedes showed up in CMLL to sort of further this story. Well, that's exciting. That's something. And then you have Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa, who have had a really phenomenal series of matches on like Dynamite and Rampage and Collision. They just had like a big street fight match that I thought was really good. So they're kind of killing it. And now you also have the big AEW Women's Championship story going on with Toni Storm, Mina Shirakawa, and Mariah May, which is really cool. All of them have history together. And, that's another one where they're kind of telling like a whole different kind of like love story triangle, which not for nothing, right? Like it's different than the stories that we usually see, right? It's usually very like straight, and this isn't a very straight storyline. So this is kind of cool that they're taking that step and furthering, how wrestling stories get told. It's like, well, yeah, you can be gay or bisexual and like have these sort of storylines going within wrestling too. Like, we're savvy enough now as like a culture to be able to see that on TV, be like, oh, okay, this is interesting, instead of having outrage or whatever the hell jamokes do nowadays. But I
agree.
think it's great. I think it's great. Anyway, that's just my take on that. I think finally AEW's women division is starting to come around, and it couldn't have happened at a better time.
No, I agree. And I think there's still room there. They still have a shot to kind of right the ship here. Wrestling's so hot right now, you can make mistakes and get away with it. But let's see what happens. Like you said, we don't want to see the next part of the who killed WCW and it be who killed AEW. So let's thoughts and prayers. We appreciate everything you've done, and let's keep it going here. But yeah, Mikey, I know we're short on time here, so you know, I think we covered a lot. We'll hopefully have another episode soon here. But you know, wrestling's hot. It
is hot, baby.
Let's see where things go.
Yeah. We're glad everybody could be with us today, and this is the best we've ever done about sticking to a schedule. So we're gonna wrap this up and just say, you know, see you in a few weeks. We'll review some of the pay-per-views that have happened, and until next time, keep on strutting, jabronis.